He's physically a freak.
For me, he's the best midfielder in the Premier League. That's not being biased, but he is the best midfielder in the Premier League.
Declan Rice, first Premier League goal for the England midfielder. But here's Declan Rice. Declan Rice, brilliant Rice, he scored!
I remember him from when we obviously played against Chelsea. He was their captain and that, and we had a good side. We had a good under-14 side at the time. I wasn't sure we needed him at that time, and I did say that to the recruitment. I said, I'm not so sure we need him. I said, we've got good midfield players as it is. But then obviously he proved his worth.
Yeah, I remember training. I got released on the Wednesday night, and I trained here. Trained with Fulham that night, and then I trained with West Ham the next night on the Astro outside. And my dad bringing me. I remember Dave Hunt at the time, who was the academy, who's done the scouting and signed the players. I remember him pulling my dad after one session and said we wanted to sign me after one training session. So as soon as I knew that, West Ham at that time at under 14 were an unbelievable side, some real top players. And as soon as I come here and train with him, my heart was set. I knew it was going to be a lot of change, a lot of differences, moving from Surrey over to Essex, moving into digs, new teammates, new coaching staff. It was a decision that I wanted to take on, and it turned me into a man.
Honestly, his personality, his humour and his comedy, he'd been with the club 2 weeks, started doing impressions of me, giving it all that. His personality, fantastic. He's always had ridiculous ability and a great mindset. He's always been in here, really strong-willed. He was, he just sort of got better and better and really took training serious. He really trained seriously. I mean, as I say, he likes to laugh, he does impressions and that, but he always took his football really, really serious and always wanted to get better. I don't think people realise what a big thing it was for him to leave his home in Kingston in Surrey and come and live in digs in Essex. And that's his mum and dad, his mum said to me, "Oh, look after him, please look after him for me." I said, "I'll always keep an eye," and they always remember that, his mum and dad.
Yeah, I think he's just someone that I can relate to so well because we're like the same personality in a way. We're both loud, we both like to have a laugh. We both say how it is, we wear our hearts on our sleeve. He's obviously a massive West Ham fan. So when I had the chance to play under him and he showed me that love, I wanted to do anything for him on a football pitch. Same with Potsy, they two worked together, and I would have run for a brick wall for them, to be honest with you. I would have done anything. And I think that development stage of my life, when them two were coaching me, giving me the confidence, I was playing centre half then, but I was just enjoying my football so much, and I was coming in with a smile on my face and having two coaches you can chat to, and like I was just speaking to them down there, nothing's changed over the years. I'm really grateful for their time, both of their time really, that they spent investing in me.
So this is our kitchen where we eat at night, and that's our house coordinator, Caroline. Caroline, what's for dinner tonight?
Tonight we've got smoky barbecue bacon, pork steak.
He got involved in a couple of, he was friendly, let's say, with a couple of, there was 3 boys from Chelsea who joined us around that sort of time. But they was all sort of up to, nothing heavily, but a bit of, should we call it, I don't know, pranks and things around the home, and they was always in trouble and this and that. And me and Steve Potts pulled Deck to one side because then he was sort of like starting to go like that as a player. We said, it's all right, they're always going to be your mates, Deck, but sometimes just distance yourself a little bit from them, you know what I mean? Because you've got a good chance of making it in the game.
I remember going to watch, I think it was the 15s or 16s at Dagenham and Redbridge. You could tell that he was really good on the ball, he was both-footed, he was technically really good. And then I think it was maybe 18 months later, I hadn't seen much of him since then, and he come to train with us, he come on pre-season with us to, I think it was Germany or Austria, one of these countries, and I said it to someone before, he was playing centre-half at the time, and I remember the ball come back from the right back, and he, first time to me, he slapped it into me. I set him back, and he had a touch, and he hit a diag with his left foot. And I remember, as I see the ball sort of going, I remember looking around and thinking, God, that was top quality. And I realised what a good player we had at the football club.
As a captain, that's what you want. If there was one captain you could have, it's Nodes, just because of the whole package. And as well as that, the player he is, feel like he wasn't given the credit he's deserved. You know, players that have been called up for England over the years and had a cap, he 100% should have had at least 10. I still put him down now as one of the best players I've played with, just because of his intelligence, really. He wasn't the fastest, but technically he was so good. But his whole impact on my life for the last 5 years has been special. And now I'm obviously adult enough where we're on a level where we can go and have a drink together, have a laugh. And before he used to look after me as a little kid, but now, you know, we're on that level where we're really good friends. You know, we're really close, and I'm really grateful for him. Of course, I feel like when you're an under-18 player and you get called to play for the 21s, you're nervous, because there's people watching there. You know, there's scouts, there's agents, there's coaches watching, there's the academy manager watching. You know, you want to impress, you always want to do well. But then to make that step from the 21s to the first team when you're on a global scale and everyone's watching you, and it's the manager then, and you're playing for 3 points, that's when you start to feel the pressure.
For the fans who haven't seen you play yet, how would you describe yourself as a footballer?
I can play in 2 positions. I can play at centre half or I can play CDM. Read the game well, strong, passing, left foot, right foot. Big part of my game, probably my favourite part, is communication side of it. See myself as a leader.
Yeah, I think the main thing with Decky, I don't know, a lot of people won't even know this, when he was given his scholarship, he was just given a straight basic scholarship, which means there's no professional contracts on the end of it, you're a scholar. In his group, there were 6 or 7 of them who were given a year's scholar and a year's pro. So he's sort of behind them. And I think that gave him a real determination to get in front of them and think, I'll show you. So he sort of like went from that to that. And he played in the tournament, an international tournament. And Slav was the manager of West Ham at the time. And some of Slav's mates were at the tournament. And he said, he's not big-headed at all, Deck, really isn't. But he said, I had a great tournament. He said, everything I'd done was well. And Slav's mate said to Slav, God, you've got a fantastic player. Slav didn't know who Deck was, didn't have a clue who he was. He was like, he said, you've got a fantastic player at West Ham, blah, blah, blah. You know, Declan Rice plays him, and from that, then I think he invited him to train with the first team, and he never really looked back.
I remember him being at dinners on that trip when he'd come in and he'd sit at the end of the table, and he always had a great character and was up for a laugh. And as captain of the football club, then it was my job really to how do I say, make the youngsters feel a part of the first team, but also give them a bit of stick. That's what it's all about. And he took it incredibly well, and I just had a real affection for him at a young age.
I feel that's a big thing as well when you're a youngster. You know, you come over to the first team, the lads are proving of you, and I felt like I got that from everyone. But I just knew that I was ready to make my debut, and it got to the last game of the season with Slav, and I just remember warming up for the whole of the second half. I was just thinking, just bring me on, please. Like, it's the last game of the season. And to be fair, he then called me back on about 82, 83, but I didn't get on to about 90.
Debut for the 18-year-old, but a proud moment nonetheless for a teenager who captained West Ham's under-23s at the age of 17.
Just to get that feeling to go on. Had a few touches of the ball, to be fair, which was really good, positive. And yeah, it was just a whirlwind day, really. I remember my family being up there. It was just really special that no one could have taken that away from me, that I'd played for West Ham's first team and I'd made my Premier League debut. And then I got the train home after with my mum and dad after I made my debut. So that probably topped off the day, really, because I didn't want to do a coach journey from Burnley, so I hopped on the train. But yeah, a special day all round. I remember it like anything.
Sent up by Anderson, that's out by Xhaka, but it's not away, it's Rice! Declan Rice gets on the score sheet for West Ham.
And then he just grew from strength to strength, and me firsthand get to obviously see him grow as a player and as a man, and he's become, in my eyes, one of the best midfielders in his position in world football. He's physically a freak. He can shoot, he can head the ball, he can tackle, he can run. He's technically gifted with both feet, so there ain't many weaknesses to his game at the minute.
I mean, I can't tell you how much pride I have every time I see him play for West Ham and for England. It's obviously I'm obviously biased towards him. For me, he's the best midfielder in the Premier League. That's not being biased, that's being truthful. Actually, he's the best midfielder in the Premier League in England for me.
We like what we've seen in terms of his personality, his character, leadership qualities. Can play as a holding midfield player, and I've seen him play very well as a centre-back. So I think he'll fit very well into the way that we work, and we're looking forward to welcoming him with us next week.
You know, there was talk of it happening, but then I see it on Sky Sports, and then I remember getting a call whilst I was at home just to say that you was in the squad. You will be meeting up on the Monday, and then I remember getting a text, like we always do, about the itinerary, and everything felt really real then. I remember turning up on the Monday and we had a night training session, and next thing I'm training with Harry Kane, Rashford, Sterling, just all these top England players, and it just went from nothing to 100 real quick. I was a bit taken back by how sharp they were and the things they'd done at a high level, and as an 18, 19-year-old I was motivated by that. I was thinking I can get to these levels, and if you work hard, improve, have good hunger for it, you can go and do that. Yeah, it was actually my second time, because obviously, like I said, we'd beat Spurs there the year before in the Cup. But yeah, just to put on that shirt, and you get told that you're coming on, it's just like, it was a nice game to come on in, because we was winning 4-0 or 5-0 or 3-0 actually. We had a lot of the ball, and it was a nice game to come into, because I could get a lot of touches, and I could be confident in my stuff. And I remember doing, like, my first touch was a nice little bit of combination play with Hendo. So yeah, as soon as I had that first touch, everything went away, and at the end of the game, it was when it really hit me that no one could ever take away from me that I'd played for England.
Really happy, as you can see, to make my debut here tonight in front of 80,000, to have my family here, my girlfriend, my brothers, it's special, and to get the victory as well. I can't really put it into words, but it's a special night.
Yeah, I remember this. I'll tell you one thing, I do look different, don't I? For the better as well. Yeah, special. You can see on my face how excited and happy I was. Yeah, it's crazy to look back on them times and see how quickly things have progressed.
This England team will come again. They will be competitive for the next 10 or 15 years, because England has a crop of very exciting players.
It was the best experience I've ever had, probably in football, just because of the teams we played against, the quality of players that we played against, the teams we knocked out, and just getting that feeling of like we're going the whole way here. Once we beat Germany, I remember being back at St George's, and the lads we got back, and we was like, we can go the whole way, like if we want to, and we did. But obviously we missed out on the trophy, which is what we wanted.
During the Euros, I'd never really got to see football as a fan with my son, because I'd always been playing for West Ham, and we ain't going to go to any other games. So to go to England and watch Dec play and watch the boys play and sort of witness football as a fan instead of a player was fantastic. And I'm hoping that England have as good a run as they did in the World Cup.
When I say that we brought the nation together, I think the further we kept going, the more and more people that were interested, and I feel like it's going to be the same, if not bigger, with this tournament. There's people that couldn't even tell you what my name is, but they'd watch me on the telly just because it's England. A lot of people that don't like football, like other sports, tuning in, and I feel like that's what was so good in it. The day before the final, travelling down to London, and the day of the game at the Grove, seeing all the fans lining up, seeing the streets, the flares, and just seeing what we've done, as a group of players to bring everyone together and happiness. And to obviously lose, it was so gutting, because if we'd have won, we'd probably still be on holiday now. But yeah, look, they were tough times, but we're better for it now.
I think the World Cup will be a lot harder. I think an experience like that for Dec, no matter how England do, is going to be phenomenal. For his family to go and watch him in a World Cup must be so special. And obviously for him and for their country, of course, but especially for him, I hope they do incredibly well.
If you was to speak to the lads that are coach now, they'd probably say I'm a bore about Dec. I'm a bore, because he was so everything we're looking for a player to be. He is. He trains right mindset, does everything right. I mean, he's a good captain. He's good with the youngsters now, all the kids now. You go around and have a chat, how you doing, and that means something to a young player. The captain of the club saying how you doing and all that, it really means something to young players, and Dec ain't forgot that.
My motivation is being captain of this great club, getting to walk out every week as captain, special. If that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will.